وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, it gives me a great honor and a privilege to address you tonight for just a few moments. Before I begin, I want to give you the new greetings that I learned when I went to Australia. Two brothers picked me up at the airport, one named Abdul Rashid, the other one named Omar. And when they saw me for the first time at the airport, this is what they said to me, and this is the new greeting. They said, Imam Siraj, Assalamu alaikum, what about Donald Trump? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. No. What about Donald Trump? So brothers and sisters, I want to first say this about ICNA in general, and then gain peace. I have seen every Muslim organization in America. I've been involved with them, whether it's Islam, or MAS, or ICNA, or CARE, you name them. But in my humble opinion, the most effective group, Muslim group in America is ICNA, Islamic Circle of North America. And without a doubt, I love all of them, but because of their effectiveness and the great work that they do, whether it's Helping Hand for Relief and Development, or ICNA Relief, or Why Islam and Gain Islam, all of the things that they do magnificent work. One of my arguments, my biggest arguments about Muslims in America is the lack of the da'wah, lack of organized ways of inviting people to Islam, gain peace. They do that. I would like to leave you with three thoughts. One of them is what I believe should be our disposition, our attitude as Muslims in America during these times. Number two, I want us to ask ourselves the question, what can I do as an individual? And then number three, our collective response. I remember when I landed, I came from Australia and I landed in New York City, JFK Airport. And when we got off the plane, they said all American citizens this way and everybody else that way. And I went with the Americans and the line was moving fast. I'm an American citizen and the line was going fast. And I can hear the immigration officer ask two questions. What country did you visit? How long did you stay? Go. What country did you visit? How long did you stay? Go. What country did you visit? How long did you stay? Go. Until they came to me. They said, what country did you visit? I said, Australia. How long did you stay? 1 week. Have you ever been to Saudi Arabia? I said, yes. When were you last there? Last year. Why did you go? For pilgrimage. Do you know anyone who lives in Saudi Arabia? None of your business, is what I wanted to say. Things are difficult for Muslims these days. You're right. You're right. There's a store that I go to every week. It's a Korean store. And the reason that I go to this store is to get one newspaper that I can't get anywhere else. So they know me for years. When they see me coming, they give me the newspaper. One day, this Korean woman, after servicing me for years, she said, where are you from? I said, America. She said, no, where are you really from? I said, America. Where your parents from? America. And then she said, but your dress. I said, I'm a Muslim. She said, oh, terrorism. No, she was half joking. But the question is, why would you associate me, you've known for years, with terrorism? We have some very difficult days ahead of us. All throughout America, you see the discrimination and the hatred against Muslims. In New York City, we had a Muslim man, elderly man, beaten up, taking his granddaughter to school, and as they beat him up, they said ISIS. Muslim masjids burned down to the ground around the country. 2 Muslims imam in New York City got shot and killed. Everywhere you look, it seems as if there's something against the Muslims. People, they hate Muslims. We don't want Muslim masjids. Building Muslim masjids in Bridgewater, New Jersey. In Bridgewater, they have 17 churches, 2 Hindu temples, a Sikh temple, a Jewish synagogue, and a Catholic convent, but no masjid. And so when the Muslims went to purchase and build a masjid, they say, we don't want Muslims here. So the city council changed the ordinances so that those Muslims, Masjid Falah, couldn't build their masjids. All over America, some cases you know, some cases you don't know. Muslims trying to build masjids, and they wouldn't allow Muslims to build masjids. There's opposition, and the question is why? And then what are we going to do about it? I was in London, England last year. Met a brother named Khalid. Khalid was born in Kuwait. He told me, Imam Siraj, I lived in Germany for 25 years, and the people in Germany used to love the Muslims. Now they hate the Muslims. Why? Why is it that we have all of this backlash against the Muslims? Why? And then finally, what are we going to do about it? In Richardson, Texas, you heard about it last year, some white men with guns protested in front of the masjid, intimidating the Muslims there. Why all of this hatred and this intimidation, and what are we going to do about it? First, I want to talk about attitude and disposition. You've heard it, you've heard speakers say it. Don't be afraid. And that's exactly what Allah said in the Quran. وَلَا تَخْشَوُا النَّاسِ وَاخْشَوْنِي. Do not be afraid of people, Allah said, but be afraid of me. He said to his 2 great prophets, Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and Harun, لَا تَخَافَا إِنَّنِي مَعَكُمَا أَسْمَعُ وَأَرَى. Do not be afraid, I am with you. I hear and I see. So this is the attitude that Muslims ought to have. I was interviewed by a reporter from Times newspaper, and she asked me in 7 different ways, aren't you afraid? Aren't you scared? I said, no. But you must be afraid. No. I'm not afraid. Because Muslims who have the right attitude, they fear none except Allah. So the attitude that Muslims have to have, if they have to have the attitude of a kind of, a kind of defiance. A respectful defiance that I ain't afraid of you. My mother, may Allah bless her, my mother, I used to be afraid of her. No, really, when I was a kid, I asked her recently, God bless her, she's in the 80s, she's still alive, alhamdulillah. I asked her 2 weeks ago, I said, Mom, how many times do you remember beating me? She said, son, I don't remember ever beating you. I said, Mom, you did. And see, my mother, see, in the old days, we got spankings. You don't get spankings no more. You're the modern mother and father. But my mother had a way of looking at me and my brother. When she give you that look, you know. And I remember one time, and you know, see, everybody uses fear tactics. Even my mother, she said to me, she said, son, go get the belt and go in your room and wait for me. I got the belt, I went in the room, and I was nervous. And my mother never came in the room. One day, I'm in college, right? And I come home, I'm on the basketball team, I'm an athlete. And as I'm walking home, I said, wait a minute. My mother can't do nothing to me. My mother is like 5'2". You know? But Imam Sheikh Kareem, one thing my mother always taught me and my brother, she said, never allow people to bully you. Always fight back. I'll never forget, I'm 12 years old, my brother 13 years old, we're in the play yard, we're playing handball or something. And about 6 bullies came to us. They're the bullies of the neighborhood. And they wanted to frighten us. I'll never forget that day, me and my brother, we put our backs against the wall. And we put our hands up and said, come on. And they attacked us. They fought us. I don't remember all of the details of the fight, but I do remember this. They never bothered us again. And the reason they never bothered us again, because we fought back. I'm saying to the Muslims, you have to fight back. Our country, America, Americans, are some of the strongest people in fighting back. They don't let people trample over their rights. John F. Kennedy said, those who will make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. We are very, very peaceful loving people, but we ain't afraid. The Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, a man came to him and said, Ya Rasulullah, what should I do if someone comes to take my property? He said, don't give it to them. He said, but what if they fight me? He said, fight them back. He said, but what if they kill me? Anta shaheed, you are a martyr. But what if I kill them? Huwa finnar, he's in the hellfire. You have to be a people who are willing to stand up for your rights in a peaceful way, non-violent way. But don't you ever be afraid to fight back. Allah said in the Quran, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ وَهُوَ كُرْهٌ لَكُمْ. Fighting is prescribed for you, even though you hate it. It may be that you hate something that's good for you, and that you love something that's bad for you. You have to be, believe me, Americans will tell you, you have to be a people willing to fight back and stand up for your rights. So this is the first part, the attitude. Number 2, as individuals. And I agree with Sister Nancy, I agree with her 100%. Who and the branding begins with us as individuals. How do people perceive us? Your neighbors, your school teachers, your professors, your doctors, your clients. How do they perceive you? Muslims must get rid of the internal contradictions. We have to get rid of the internal contradictions, and we have to be honest. We got contradictions. I'll give you an example. There's a store in New York that I go to every week, owned by Muslims, and the workers are Muslims. I go there every week, I get my newspapers. I get about 5, 6, or 7 newspapers. And one day I went into that store, to get my papers, and I saw a sign that I never recognized before. And it said, alcohol not sold here. Allahu Akbar. A Muslim store that don't sell alcohol. No alcohol sold here. On Sundays. Before 2 p.m. Internal contradictions. We have to get rid of them. Shatibi, one of the great Muslim scholars, he said, we must anticipate the consequences of everything that we say and do. We have to anticipate the consequences of everything we say and do. Every time that a Muslim commits a crime, he may not even intend it, but all Muslims have to suffer the consequences. Every time someone looks on TV and somebody, a Muslim, drives a car into a crowd of people, Muslims pay the price. So therefore, Muslims must be the right kind of person as an individual. You are Muslim, most of you are Americans. I'm American, I'm just like you, man. I watched the Super Bowl with my friends in Atlanta, and I cried with them. Or I watched them cry. I'm like, I love basketball. I'm sorry, you know, in Chicago used to be a great basketball team. Years ago, I do it. So, this is my country, and I love it. Don't mean I agree with all the policies. I'll fight against unjust policy, but this is my country. Why would I want my country to fail? So you must ask yourself the question, when people want your country destroyed, how do you feel about it? Honestly, when nobody is around. How do you feel about it? I hate when people try to destroy the country. I do. Because this is my country. Are there issues? Sure, there are issues. But we have to fight it in the right way. And one of the great examples that Allah blessed us with are the African Americans in this country. Despite everything that was done to the African Americans, they still love the country. This is our country. But now, how do we act toward others? Really, how do you think about non-Muslims? I'll give you an example. A lot of da'wah that I do on airplanes, airports and airplanes. I was on a plane and we just landed in some city. And people were getting off the plane. And I noticed an old white woman, she was sitting there. And she didn't move. So I went to her and said, Madam, do you need help? She said, yes, my luggage. I went in the overhead, got her luggage. I said, do you want me to take it out for you? She said, no, thank you. I walked off the plane, and when I walked off the plane, a young white woman said to me, she said, sir, I saw what you did. I want to say thank you. I did it, I didn't do it so she can take shahada. It's instinctively. She's a human being. I'm going to help the woman. And I don't ask the question, excuse me, madam, are you Muslim? See, if you're Muslim, I'm going to help. That's so, are you kidding me? I'm in the airport in Atlanta, Georgia, on my way to Tennessee, and I'm sitting down at the terminal, and to my left was some old white man coughing, just a nasty cough. He was coughing and coughing, and it just so happened, and Allah test you, it just so happened I had in my pocket what I consider the best cough drops. They have honey in it, and I didn't take one of them out. I gave him, I said, sir, here, take this will help you. He said, thank you, how much? I said, no. He took it. Immediately he stopped coughing. He looked at me and said, wow, thank you. And everybody else there thanked me because it was a nasty cough. And Allah would have it, the next week, I'm on my way to London, and on the plane, Sitting not far from me is a woman with a nasty cough, and I didn't have no cough drops, and for 7 hours we had to hear that woman. So what am I saying? I'm in my masjid. It's snowing in December. I go to get my newspaper. There's an old African-American woman. She's trying to come out of the store, and there's a step, and she was negotiating how to get down. So this is what we do. I said, "Madam, you want help?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Take my arm." And so she took my arm, and and I let her down, and she just smiled. I was watching her, I'm walking down the block, and she just smiling at me. Because this is what we do. This is part of who we are. This is Islam. We're concerned about dogs and cats and ants and plants. This is who we are. So brothers and sisters, as an individual, and then finally as an organization, as I conclude, I want us to be careful about what we do and why we do it. Everything we do must be for Allah. The niyyah, intention is for Allah. I don't give dawah because I'm scared, and hopefully by me giving dawah, people are not going to attack me. That's not why I give dawah. You know Muhammad Ali? Man, Muhammad Ali is a great brother. I know him. We used to walk the streets of New York together. I went with him when he went to the United Nations. I saw policemen stopping their car, getting an autograph from Muhammad Ali. And those who know Muhammad Ali know he's very, he's like a happy-go-lucky, a jokester. So he gets on the plane, and the flight attendant said, "Mr. Muhammad Ali, please put on your seatbelt." He said, "Superman don't need no seatbelt." She said to him, "Superman don't need no plane." So he put on the seatbelt. So we don't need supermen and superwomen. All we need is human beings. Good human beings. Human beings who want peace. In my estimation, if you ask for the vision of Allah for the world, it's peace. I'm clear about it. You may not really appreciate it. And then I looked in the Quran and I saw what I think, in my conclusion, is a mission statement for the Muslims. A mission statement. And this mission statement is this. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. This is the mission statement. What do you mean? You are the best of the people evolved for mankind because you enjoin the good and you forbid the evil. That's what it's all about. 1987, I'll never forget, Wednesday night. I'm sitting in my office in my masjid, and we had an aqiqah. One of the Muslim brothers and his wife gave birth to a baby, and we were celebrating Wednesday night, I'll never forget. And at some point, I went into my office, and I was preparing my sermon for Friday. Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, preparing my sermon. And I chose a verse from the Quran, وَتَعَوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. Help one another in righteousness and fear of Allah. انظر أخاك ظالما مظلوما. Help your brother if he's oppressed or if he's an oppressor. How to do it. That's going to be my sermon. A brother knocked at my door. I said, "Imam Siraj, there is a brother here to see you." I said, "Let him in." It's a brother that I didn't recognize. He was a Palestinian Muslim. He didn't go to my jama'ah. He didn't go to my masjid. But he's a Muslim. Never knew him. And the Prophet said, "Al-Muslimu akhu Muslim." The Muslim is a brother to the Muslim. And he was crying. He said, "Imam, I own a building. And when I was away, some drug dealers came in and they took over one of the apartments. I went to the police. They couldn't do anything. They wouldn't do anything. Can you help me?" That night I made a decision. I'm going to do one or two things. I'm going to help him, and then Friday give that sermon. Or I'm not going to help him, and if I don't help him, I'm not going to give that sermon. Because I don't want to be a hypocrite and say help your brother, and when the time comes to help your brother, you don't help your brother. So we took sure with the brothers, we decided we're going to help them. So I went home and I changed my clothes. Anyways, about 30 of us. I didn't sit in my office and say, you brothers go and give me a report. I went with them. We went to the door with the brother, the landlord, and I knocked on the door, and the drug dealer said, who is it? I said, it's the Muslims, and we're here back to take back the property of our brothers. The leader back there, we heard his voice. He said, listen, nobody do anything stupid. It's the Muslims. Serious? They opened the door, one by one they came out, 9, 10, 11, I don't remember, 12, 13 of them, and they came out. And the irony of all ironies, they called the police on us. I'm not saying we tough guys. If you study the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, those around the Prophet, they weren't soldiers. They were farmers and business people. But you know what? They were slaves of Allah. And because they were slaves of Allah, Allah blessed them and changed the world and made the world better. What's in it for us? How many of you ever heard of the Congressional Black Caucus? The Congressional Black Caucus are African American legislators. Their motto, black people have neither permanent friends nor permanent enemies, just permanent interests. Permanent interests. It is in our interest to make this country great. What's my evidence? I close with this. You are here tonight to raise money for Game Peace. Sheikh Kareem will come up and ask you for money. I'm saying you can do it as long as you keep this in mind. The Prophet gave us, alayhi salatu wasalam, a picture of a boat. And in the boat are good people and bad people. And the bad people begin to drill a hole in the boat. And the Prophet said, if you stop him, you save him and yourself. But if you let him go, you will destroy him and destroy yourself. Individuals is one thing, but now you have to become involved with others in Jama'ah, organizations, and every one of them have something to do. Every one of them. CARE is an organization, the Council of American Islamic Relations, in their interaction with governments and lawyers and Muslim Legal Defense Fund, all of that, it makes a difference because we have to have a strategy. Because there are people who don't like us, it's okay. We ain't mad at you. Our country have a history of not liking people because they're Jewish or they're Irish or they're black or they're this and they're that. And you know, really be honest with you, when our country, when they fight against us, you, me, really it means that they really like you. This is how they initiate you. They say, welcome to America. I mean, you think I'm crazy, right? So what we have to do, we have to fight in every battlefield in the right way. Legally, I'll give you one example. Bridgewater, New Jersey, a few years ago, when the Muslims wanted to build a masjid, and the one that I mentioned, and the people didn't want them, and they changed the law to stop the Muslims from building. You know what the Muslims did? We sued them. Went to a federal court and sued them, and there was a settlement, and they got property 15 acres of land, and they got from the city $7.75 million because they fought back. Don't sit down passive. You know, we don't eat rabbit meat. You don't know what that means. It's like, it's an English term, you know, like, yo man, we ain't soft like that. So work as an individual, work collectively, work with organizations like ICNA, work with organizations like Gain Peace, and you will see you will make a major difference. May Allah bless you. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.